والحث على تمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم ودعانا على دعاة الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى وما نوينا شكرنا من صالح النيات والأعمال. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم افتح لنا فتوح العارفين وفقنا توفيق الصالحين. اللهم علمنا بالقرآن وذكر الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يقربنا منك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم أعذنا من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا واصلح لنا شأننا كله. لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد. أوكي. باب طهارة الماء في الثوب وفي البقعة وفيما يجزئ من اللباس كالصلاة والمصلي يناجي ربه فعليه أن يتأهب لذلك بالوضوء وبالطهر إن وجب عليه الطهر، ويكون ذلك بماء طاهر غير مشوب بنجاسة ولا بما قد تغير لونه لشيء خالطه من شيء نجس أو طاهر إلا ما غيرت لونه الأرض التي هو بها من سبخة أو حمأة ونحوها، وماء السماء وماء العيون وماء الآبار وماء البحر طيب طاهر مطهر لنجاسات وما غير لونه بشيء طاهر حل فيه فذلك الماء طاهر غير مطهر في وضوء أو طهر أو زوال نجاسة، وما غيرته النجاسة فليس بطاهر ولا مطهر لغيره. وقليل الماء ينجسه قليل النجاسة وإن لم تغيره. وقلة الماء مع أحكام الغسل سنة وصرف منه غلو وبدعة. وقد توضأ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بمد وهو وزن رطل وثلث، وتطهر بصاع وهو 4 أمداد بمده عليه الصلاة والسلام. وطهارة البقعة لصلاة واجبة، وكذلك طهارة الثوب، فقيل إن ذلك فقيل أن ذلك فيهما واجب وجوب الفرائض وقيل وجوب السنن المؤكد. وينهى عن الصلاة في معاطن الإبل ومحجة الطريق وظهر بيت الله الحرام والحمام حيث لا يوقن منه بطهارة والمزبلة والمجزرة والمقبرة المشركين وكنائسهم وأقل ما يصلح. Okay, so I'm going to stop there because then he goes into what to wear. Okay.
When you do prayer, you are talking to your Lord. You must therefore prepare yourself for this by doing a ghusl, by doing a wudu or ghusl.
So before that, Babun, the chapter
on the purity of water, clothing, and the place of prayer, and what can be worn when performing the prayer. When you do the prayer, you are talking to your Lord. You must therefore prepare yourself for this by doing wudu or ghusl if a ghusl is necessary. This must be done by using pure water which is uncontaminated by any impurity. You cannot use water whose color has been changed by something mixed in with it, whether that thing is pure or impure, unless the change of color has been caused by something in the earth where the water is from, such as salt deposits or mud or similar things. Any water coming from the sky or from springs or wells or the sea is all good, pure, and purifies impurities. If the color of the water has been changed by something pure which has got into it, it remains pure but cannot be used for purification either in wudu or ghusl or for removing impurities.
Okay, hang on a second. One second. We'll go back to the beginning, just really quick.
When you do the prayer, you are talking to your Lord. You must therefore prepare yourself for this by doing wudu or ghusl if a ghusl is necessary. This must be done using pure water, which is uncontaminated by any impurity. You cannot use water whose color has been changed by something mixed in with it, whether that thing is pure or impure, unless the change of color has been caused by something in the earth, where the water...
It's a sa or less, and sa is 4 muds, so it's 4 hands of the Prophet ﷺ. So if you cup your hands, right? So the Prophet ﷺ's hands cupped like that, that's 1 mud, and it's 4 of that. And so each mud is about a little over a liter. So sa is 4 of those. If it's a sa or less and najasa fell in it and nothing changed it, like the water taste or so the color, taste, or smell, those 3 properties of the water hasn't changed, and it's a sa or less, it's makruh to use it, and it's not haram to use it. Unless you can't find any other water. And it's recommended, it's not wajib to do wudu for every prayer, whether it's nafila or farm. Okay, okay, go ahead. So we talked about this in the Akhdari class, that if it's changed by like sabkha is like swampy ground, or it's like salt marsh. So if it's changed by something that's typically a part of the water, it does not, it's still pure and purifying. Hamatin is qeen aswad. That's a type of clay and the like, because they're part of the water. Wama'u samai, so that's rainwater. And wama'u al-uyun, so spring water, wells, wal bahar. Somebody asked that question on in the group. طيب طاهر وطاهر. So something could be pure but not purifying, right? So if something that's not typically part of the water. Did you read all that, or am I getting ahead of you?
Any water coming from the sky or from springs or wells or the sea is all good, pure, and purifies impurities. If the color of the water has been changed by something pure which has gotten into it, it remains pure, but cannot be used for purification either in wudu or ghusl or for removing impurities.
Okay, so pure means you can use it for ada, meaning something pure fell into it, so it remains pure. But if the color, taste, or smell has changed, then it's not purifying, meaning you can't use it for ibadat. So if it's pure, you can use it for ada, you can use it for cooking, you can use it for, washing clothes, things like that, but you can't use it for ibadat. So you can't use it for wudu or ghusl. Also, you can't use it for istinja, right? And then anything that's typically a part of it, like dirt, clay, salt marsh, baked brick, algae, things like that. That's all. As long as it's typically a part of the water, it doesn't affect it.
Water that has been changed by something impure getting into it is not pure and cannot be used for purification purposes. A small amount of impurity makes a small amount of water impure, even if there is no change in the water. Using a small amount of water. It is sunnah to use a small amount of water when washing, provided you do it thoroughly. Using an excessive amount is extremism and innovation.
So just a point here, qalilul ma'i, a small amount of water, like aniyatul wudus, the amount you would use for wudu, which is, I mean, you know, the Prophet apparently would use about a mud, but whatever you need, that suffices you. And then for ghusl, it's, you know, they say he uses 4 mud. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used 4 muds or 1 sa'a. But whatever suffices you, as long as you're not wasting. If a najasa fell into a small body of water, so the body, the amount that I just mentioned, and it doesn't change it, it's not, it doesn't make it impure, unlike what it says here. It says it makes it impure. That's not the mashhur opinion. So we said as long as it doesn't change its taste, color, or smell, it's makruh to use. So even if you have a mud of water or whatever you need basically for wudu without going into excess, if najasa falls into it and nothing changes, like a few drops of urine, nothing, it doesn't change. You can't taste it, you can't smell it, the color doesn't change, it's makruh to do wudu with it unless you can't find any other water. If you can't, then it's not even makruh. But in any case, it doesn't render it impure as long as the properties haven't changed. Okay, so go ahead. Okay, 1 second, I want to mention the other thing they mention is wasting. That's really, really important. An excessive amount is extremism, and it's a bid'ah, a sarf. It's called sarf, which they translate as extremism. Al-ikthar min sab al-ma'i fil wudu. So using a lot of water, and a lot of people do that, astaghfirullah. And that's not, it's not allowed. And it's a ghulu, it's ziyada fi din, it's excess in the deen, and it's a bid'ah. Right, so here I mentioned that it's makruh, but it could get, you know, prohibited also. But it's definitely makruh. At what point does it become prohibited? I'd have to ask about that. But so we should be, you know, ideally what I do is I'll put my wudu water in a container, and I'll do wudu from that. And actually, it really doesn't take any longer. Because it's easier than turning the tap on and off, right? Because makruh, it's going to affect our wudu. So it's better to take the extra 2-3 minutes and just do wudu properly. And it's better to not redo one's wudu if one's going to waste water and one's going to do makruh. So it's recommended to renew one's wudu, but if you're going to end up doing makruh, it's actually higher not to do your wudu, because you're supposed to leave the دفع الضرر مقدم على جلب النوافع. That's a principle. دفع الضرر, warding off the harm, and doing a makruh is harm, is higher than جلب النوافع, than doing that which is beneficial. So mandub is beneficial, right? Of course, for the akhirah, inshallah, and for the dunya also, because tribulations come from our sins, and makruhat are, you know, we're getting closer to sin, and makruhat don't bring us closer to Allah. So there's been times when I've been stuck where it's like, okay, for example, I have to do wudu. I already have wudu. I've done my prayer, and I liked, you know, one likes to renew one's wudu. But I'm going to end up doing it in the bathroom. There's a toilet there, even if it's clean. So according to the Malikis, that would be makruh to do it there. So it's higher for me not to renew my wudu, unless like I need to do it, you know. Or if I can find a place where I can renew my wudu without, you know, where there's no toilet, or there's like a door or something like that, that's different. So it's not always, you have to see if you're going to end up wasting water, what are you going to do? Then you have to take the lesser thing. Okay, go ahead.
Can we ask questions should we wait to the end, or can we ask questions as you go along?
Oh, go ahead.
So for wudu, for example, I know that I will use probably almost double the amount of water if I, for example, when it comes to the feet, if I have the water going, if I'm washing it, if I'm rubbing from ankle to toe rather than toe to ankle, I use significantly less water. But then I was under the impression that it's better you're supposed to go toe to ankle. Right?
Yeah. No, there's no, I don't know why you would do that.
Okay, so I could just do either way, whichever's going to save me the most water.
No, You can do both. Why do you have to do, why? I don't understand that.
It just happens to be that when I have my foot facing a certain way, when the water flows, it's hard to describe, but I've just noticed considerably that I save a lot more water if I'm doing it, if my foot is pointing downwards, and say I have something.
So the water goes down.
Correct. And so I'm rubbing the downward motion rather than toes to ankle.
Then you have to change the way you do wudu. See how Sheikh Sadiq does it. He doesn't use a lot of water, and Sheikh Khatri too. Yeah. But I wouldn't do that. Then change how you're doing wudu.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to go top to bottom.
Okay. Okay, second fine. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did wudu with 1 mud of water, which is equivalent to 1 1/3 rattles, and he did ghusl with 1 sa', which is 4 muds measuring by his mud. It is obligatory for the place where you're going to do the prayer to be pure. Your clothing must also be pure. It is said by some that the nature of the obligation referred to here is that of an absolute obligation, fard, and by others it is the obligation of a confirmed sunnah mu'akkada.
Okay, 1 second. Hold that, please. Okay, so like I said, the Prophet ﷺ, he did ghusl, so he did wudu with a mud, right? But the dominant opinion is that there's no had, there's no specific limit, and it's according to the person. So you don't want to waste, again. But you want to, it doesn't have to be. وَأَرْبَعَةُ أَمْدَادٍ بِمُدِّهِ عَلَيْهِ صَلَاةً, and four muds for ghusl. And again, there, you know, somebody who's got a larger body, they're gonna need more, but as long as they're not wasting. I have a bucket in the shower, even though I end up using more water, but I think it's less than I took a shower. So you just kind of have to, it's, you know, we go out for so many different things, and we can certainly go out and buy a bucket. And taharatul buqa, the place that you're going to touch, where your hands, your feet, wherever you're going to make sajda, and you're going to touch that area, that needs to be pure of any impurities. And it's wajib. وَقِيلَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ فِيهِمَا sunnah. That's not the mashhur opinion. فِيهِمَا وَقِيلَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ فِيهِمَا واجب وجوب. Yeah, it's wujub al-fara'id, meaning it's a condition of this, it's a condition of the soundness of the prayer. And waqila wujub sunnah muakkada, that's not the mashhur opinion where it says it's sunnah, but wajib wujub al-fara'id, that's the absolute obligation. Yes, it's a fard, so it's a condition of the validity of the prayer. And by others, that is an obligation of a confirmed sunnah, so that's not the mashhur. Waqila yunha an salati. Okay, go ahead.
Places where it is forbidden to pray, in places where camels congregate.
You skipped something. Go back. The time of.
Oh, okay. Because I don't see it in the. Okay.
I don't see it in Arabic. I don't see it in the Arabic either. Okay, skip that.
Places where it is forbidden to pray, in places where camels congregate, or in the middle of the road.
Okay, so that's fi ma'atin al-ibil, that's makruh. Right, it's not, and mahajjat al-tariq, in the middle of the road, that's also makruh.
Or on top of the Kaaba, or in public baths, a place.
That's prohibited, and it breaks the prayer.
A place which you are not certain whether it is pure or not. So if there is a place where it's...
Okay, let's finish it and then we'll go over it.
Or a rubbish heap, or in slaughterhouses, or in the graveyards, and places of worship of non-Muslims.
Okay, so let's go over that. There's actually quite a bit of detail, and then I will definitely, inshallah, answer your question. Okay. So one, on the top of the Kaaba, if you get to pray there, mashallah, if it's far, it breaks your prayer, so don't do it. And if it's, the mashhur is that if it's nafil, it's permissible, so it doesn't even say it's recommended, but it's permissible. And as far as in the hammamats, those are the public bathrooms, like the saunas, you know what we call the saunas now, it's makruh, as long as they're not one's not certain that there's najasa. يُقَنُ مِنْهُ بِطَهَارَةٍ. They're not sure that it's pure. If they're sure that it's pure, then it's permissible there. But these are public baths, not the old, what we call the saunas now, so they wouldn't have a toilet. وَالْمَزْبَلَةِ, so it's where you throw the trash. وَالْمَجْزَرَةِ, it's where they would slaughter. So the animals, so that is and إذا صلى وعنده شك في النجاسة. So maswala, where there's trash and he prays there and he's doubtful, 50-50. Is there najasa there or not? And again, the place for where you slaughter, it's makruh if you're not إِلَّمْ يُؤْمَنْ مِنَ النَّجَاسَةِ. If he's not safe from najasa. Otherwise, it's if he feels safe from najasa, then it's fine. وَأَمَّا النَّهْيُ عَنِ الصَّلَاةِ فِي مَقْبَرَةِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. Again, if he's doubt, he has shak about the najasa. If he has no doubt, then it's actually technically permissible. وَكَنَائِسُهُمْ, meaning their places of worship, and it's makruh there. Their places of worship, it's makruh there. Hang on, there's a couple of other things that I want to mention.
Sorry, why does it say there's no difference between the ruined or inhabited place?
1 second. Okay, so all these places are makruh. 1 second, Burke, I'll get back to your question. So
Okay.
whether it's the place of where they're worshiping, but one doesn't repeat the prayer, even though it's makruh. So any place of worship of the kuffar, whether it's, okay, so here's the answer to your question, whether they're using that place of worship or not using that place. So it could be a dilapidated church. They're not using it. It's still makruh to pray there. But one doesn't repeat the prayer. Okay, well.
Because like Muslims buy churches and they make them a mosque. Does that change it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was the intention when they bought it? Yeah, I believe so. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if it's just left as a place of worship, then it would be makruh. Hang on a second. 1 second. I'm just making sure I don't leave anything out. Okay. In order, Salma, you had a question. Tafaddali.
I just wanted to clarify with the whole sauna thing. Like I remember once praying in an area that I was under the impression that if it's enclosed, like there are doors or walls and there's no toilet and it's pure,
that's fine.
Okay, even if it's like in like an addendum to like a changing room or something. Yes,
so the whole issue here with these public baths, the original hammamat, and then being makruh, حيث لا يُقَنُ مِنْهُ بِطَهَارَةٍ, where because of the fact that you're not certain that they're pure. Okay. So that's the reason for it. So they actually give the reason. So if the reason is not there for the karaha, then it becomes jaiz. So it's not going to be recommended, but it's actually permissible. And you would have to pray in a place like that. Actually, even if it's makruh, but the time is going out and it's going to go into daruri, you would have to pray in a place. Mama, look. So were there any other questions? Somebody was trying to get in. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, I need to read, right? وأقل ما يصلي فيه رجل من اللباس ثوب ساتر من درع أو رداء والدرع القميص ويكره أن يصلي بثوب ليس على الاكتفافه منه شيء فإن فعل لم يعد وأقل ما يجزئ المرأة من اللباس في الصلاة الدرع الحصيف الصابغ الذي يستر ظهور قدميها وخمار تتقنع به. Okay, تباشر بكفيها الأرض في السجود مثل الرجل. Okay, that's the end of the chapter. Go ahead.
The least clothing a man can do in the prayer is something which covers his aura, everything between his navel and his knees, such as a long shirt or a piece of cloth he can wrap around him. However, it is disliked to do the prayer wearing something that does not cover the shoulders, but if this does not happen, the prayer does not need to be repeated. The least clothing a woman can do the prayer in is a thick, full-length garment covering her whole body, including the top of the feet, and something covering her head. The woman should touch the ground with the palms of her hand in sujood, just as the man does.
Okay, so if you can go back to the top, please. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, the least clothing a man can do in the prayer is something which covers his aura, everything between his navel and his knees. Okay, so if he prays with uncovered shoulders, then it is makruh. If he's able to, because they were, there are people who are so poor they wouldn't have enough to cover their shoulders from because fabric was expensive, clothes were expensive. But he doesn't repeat the prayer. Okay, so a woman, it needs to be thick. So there's two things. It doesn't show the skin and it doesn't show her shape. So there's two things, right? So she needs to be careful about that. And what it's makruh for her to cover, right? So this is all ibadat, right? Some things are makruh, haram to uncover. Some things are makruh to cover. So her face and her hands need to be uncovered. So she would cover up to her wrists, right? And the face that you do in the wudu, that's the face. So that needs to be uncovered unless there's fitna. So if you're typically wearing the niqab, what one sister said, if she's praying behind the man, she just waits that the imam does, she said to wait till the imam does the takbir and then she uncovers her face so one gets out of it. But if somebody's walking in, men are walking in and out, and so you keep the niqab on, then it's for a need, so it's not makruh. And then they mentioned that you should, make sure your hands are not, they shouldn't be covered anyway. And this is just a reminder that when you're putting your hands on the ground for sajda, that they don't become covered. And it's recommended to cover the aura when one's alone. Right, it's recommended to do that. And let's see. Any questions?
So things like glasses, things like that, that's fine, right?
Yeah, that's fine as far as I know. I usually take them off because it's actually distracting for me in the prayer, and then the hair is more likely to come out from the sides and things like that. So I had abayas made just that they all have pockets in them, and so I just have a pocket. But yeah, as far as I know, there's no issue. Any questions on this? And again, I want to stress a lot of the women's clothing. It's so sexist. The men's clothing is not like that. They have the cotton twill fabric, but the women's clothing is most of it, even the abayas, they're made of this really clingy jersey knit fabric, like what the sweatpant material is made of. Like so many of the abayas are like, the hijabs are like that, and it's all revealing. even if it's thick, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty revealing. It shows the shape. And I'm like, why don't they make the men's outfits like that? It's just so sexist. They want, you know, they want to reveal. Even the Muslim designers, they're doing that. It's just really insulting. Any other questions? Otherwise, we can actually end early today. Should we stop here? Or should we do a little bit more? Maybe we'll go till, we can do a little bit more. Okay, I'll read. Babu, صفة الوضوء. باب صفة الوضوء ومسنونه ومفروضه وذكر الاستنجاء والاستجمار، وليس الاستنجاء مما يجب أن يوصل به الوضوء، لا في سنن الوضوء ولا في فرائضه، وهو من باب إيجاب زوال النجاسة به أو بالاستجمار لئلا يصلي بها في جسده ويجزئ فعله بغير نية، وكذلك غسل الثوب النجس بكسر الجيم النجسي أي المتنجس. وصفة الاستنجاء أن يبدأ بعد غسل يديه فيغسل مخرج البول ثم يمسح ما في المخرج من الأذى بمدر أو بغيره أو يده ثم يحكها بالأرض ويغسلها ثم يستنجي بالماء ويواصل صبة ويسترخي قليلا ويجيد عرق ذلك بيده حتى يتنظف، وليس عليه غسل ما بطن من المخرجين. Okay, go ahead.
Chapter 4 on how to do wudu and what is fard and sunnah in it. How to clean yourself after going to the lavatory with water, istinja, or with stones and other things. Istinja. Cleaning yourself with water after going to the lavatory should not be considered a part of wudu, being neither one of its sunnah nor its fard aspects. However, you have to do it in order that all impurities are removed before doing the prayer. You do not have to make a special intention before doing it. The same thing applies when washing impurities off clothes. The way you wash yourself after going to the lavatory, istinja, is first of all to wash your hand and then the end of the penis where the urine comes out. You then wipe any impurity from the anus using hard earth or other things, or your left hand, which you should then wipe on the ground and wash. After this, you wash your anus by pouring water over it, which you continue to do while at the same time relaxing it a little, rubbing the area thoroughly with the left hand until it is clean. You do not have to wash the inside of either of the two openings.
Okay, so hang on a second. Oh, استجمار ولا يستنجي من ريح ومن استجمر بثلاثة أحجار يخرج آخرهن نقيا أجزاؤه. Okay, there. So go ahead, finish that.
You should not do istinja on account of having broken wind. When doing istijmar, it is sufficient to use only 3 stones, provided that the last one comes out clean. But using this.
No, one second, yeah. So, so a few things I'm just going to mention from Khalil, because subhanAllah, the Sahaba mentioned that the Prophet taught them everything, right? Even how to use the restroom. So it's recommended to sit. This is from Mukhtasar Khalil, the Fatwa book. It's recommended to sit when one's, you know, al haja, and to recline on one foot, right? So it's wastinjaun biyadin yusrayain, and to use the left hand, and waballuha qabla al-luqay, and it's you should wet the hand before you actually touch the najasa. وغسلها بتراب, and washing it with like turab after it, or certainly water and soap. And if one's going outside to, well, anywhere to keep one's private parts covered until one gets to the place. You know, and likewise in the bathroom, one shouldn't uncover until one's actually going to, you know, relieve oneself. And preparing everything. So one shouldn't be looking for the toilet paper and one's already uncovered. And to use witr, so an odd number, right? So it'd be recommended to, it's recommended to combine between dry and wet, so toilet paper and water. So one would use the toilet paper first, you know, it should be front to back, right? And ideally, that's recommended. And then to use an odd number for the dries. So we can even count, I mean, and this is, you know, one gets a reward for this, so counting the number of, you know, pieces of toilet paper. And doing the front, تقديم قبله, so again, recommended to do the front for the back and to relax the buttocks, because that actually, you know, makes it all come out. And then there's nothing left there. And it's recommended for the head to be covered. Again, it's not haram to uncover the head. And one thing that we were taught recently is that one shouldn't look up and one shouldn't be looking down either. So just kind of straight. And عدم التفاته, so one shouldn't be looking around. People have like magazines in the toilet and stuff like that. So it's not a place. It's makruh to be looking around. And to do, it's recommended to do the dhikr before, right? Allahumma inni a'udhuka min al-khubuthi wal khaba'ith, before entering the toilet, entering with the left foot and coming out with the right. So dhikr warada ba'dahu wa qablahu. So the dhikr that's narrated from the sunnah before entering and after. وَسُكُوتٌ إِلَّا لِمُهِمٍ. So it's recommended to keep quiet unless there's something important. So sometimes if, you know, it rarely happens, but if somebody, you know, calls your name and they're going to be upset, like it's rare, but one can just knock on the door if one's close enough, just to kind of let them know. وَبِالْقَضَاءِ, okay, a few other things. وبكنيف, so these toilets, نحيو ذكر الله, so it's makruh to do any kind of dhikr, and of course Quran is haram in the toilet area. And again, it's recommended, so you get a reward for combining between water and here they say stones, but something dry. And one has to use water for three things they mentioned. For mani, which is sperm, the greater sexual fluid, wahayd, so menstruation, and nifas. You have to use water for that. Wabowl imra'atin, and urine of the woman. You have to use water for that. So toilet paper does not suffice. That's ta'ayyana, meaning you specifically have to use water. وَمُنْتَشِنًا مَخْرَجٍ كَثِيرًا, and anytime. So aside from what I mentioned, for anything else that wasn't mentioned, like the urine of the man and anything else that we didn't mention, like feces, if it spreads past the exit, then one also has to use water for it. So that's the key, if it spread past the exit. And for the man, the madhi, which is the lesser fluid, everybody has to wash it, a man or a woman. But for the man, he has to wash the penis completely. And they mentioned that if he doesn't make a niyyah, or if he doesn't do all of it, is his prayer invalid? There's two opinions. And it's makruh to make, see, these are bid'ahs. And I actually know somebody who does this, who actually grew up in a Muslim country, Maliki Muslim country. وَلَا يُسْتَنْجَى بِرِيحٍ. You know, these things take a person away from Allah. You don't do istinja from wind. So you don't wash yourself after passing wind. And what are the things that you can use? So you can use, you know, something that's pure, that cleans. It shouldn't be something that's respectable. It shouldn't be wet. So you can't use wet toilet paper because it's going to spread the najasa. This is all la mubtallin, not anything wet, and not anything that's impure, right? So think of something that has alcohol, anything that's muhtaram, so honored. So what min mat'umin, so anything that's can be edible. So just you have to kind of keep in mind what maktub, and anything that has writing on it. So we have to be careful. I found toilet paper that has writing on it. So I just usually it's been put in the bathroom here. So I'll actually remove it. It's very light, but وذهب وفضة, right, gold and silver, وجدار, wall, وأظم, وروث. Roth is the ta'am of the dawab of the jinn. Somebody uses some of these things, it's, you know, they still made istinja. Just likewise using using less than 3. So that was it. I just want to mention some detail on that. And then I think we should stop here because that's a lot of it. So any questions? Any questions?
Could you
Yes.
repeat for the woman? So it's many, what she has to use water for. You said it's many.
So man or the woman, what the ayana specifically. So money, man or woman, haid, woman only, obviously, men don't get that. And nifas, obviously women only, salopia. And then specifically for the woman, bowl imra'atin is urine of the woman. And then for men or the woman, muntashiran and makhrajan kathiran. So the feces, so the man doesn't necessarily, it's recommended for him to use something, to use water for urine, but if he just uses toilet paper, you know, and he should milk the penis, right, gently. And I think they mentioned to shake it. Did they mention that? She should have mentioned that. بسلط ذكر بنتر وسلط ذكر. I remember from Ibn Ashur. So it's gently milking it, I think, and I think shaking is the other word they use, gently. So they have to do that because so that nothing stays. Otherwise, they're responsible for that. And one of the main reasons people get tribulated in the grave, right? As mentioned in the hadith, one is by carrying tales. Somebody backwit and they take it to the person, say so and so said this about you, and the other one is from not taking care of removing the najasa properly. So the men do have to, they need to do that so that it all comes out. So muntashiran and makhrajan kathiran. And then as far as feces is concerned, if it doesn't go past the exit, so the anal opening, then it suffices just to use toilet paper, but the toilet paper can't be wet, it needs to be dry, otherwise it's going to spread the najasa. If the feces spreads past the exit, then it's required to use water. And then combining between the two, so doing the dry toilet paper and then water is recommended. And then they mentioned in the beginning that it's recommended to wet your hand first before touching any najasa, anything, well, actually, hopefully, if you're using dry and wet, you wouldn't be touching the najasa anyway, but it's recommended to wet the hand. And the thing is, I see, you know, the wisdom in that I see is that it doesn't get into the pores, then the hands don't smell because you have water in the pores, and then, so anything you touch, it's not gonna make the hands smell.
Is a little bit of najis excusable?
I mean, it would be makruh, the qadra dirham, extent of a dirham would be makruh to pray it.
Mm-hmm. So what if you're out, like in, you know, like a public restroom? Like, would you just have to, like?
You would have to do, yeah.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Like, you know, where there was no water thing available.
You would have to carry something like a cup or something, or ask them for a cup. There's always water available. I've never been anywhere where there's.
I mean, like, you know, a hose or.
Just ask for a cup where required to take me.
Mm-hmm.
I just will ask them. I mean, alhamdulillah, usually I don't really go to restaurants anymore, but when I've been somewhere, because I used to travel a lot and got stuck in all types of places, just ask them for a cup or take one with you. I carry a tayammum rock with me just in case I get stuck somewhere and something happens. You get rewarded, inshallah, for even carrying a cup. Well, we have to take the means. You have to take the means. Just like we remember all these other things, we just, you know, we have to just get used to, okay, this is what I need for the prayer. And the last thing that's mentioned that will go from the ummah is the prayer. But the first, Sheikh Salman was talking about this, and he was saying that the first thing that will be looked at on about our actions is from our actions is the prayer on the Day of Judgment. So we really need to be careful about the tahara because it's linked to the prayer. I know a sister who used to be like on campus, and she used to carry a little bottle with her. I think it was dry. I don't think she had water. She just go fill it up.
What about your like a little bit of your own blood, like not from the menses, but like you cut your finger or something? Is your prayer still?
Is it less? Is it like less than about like $50, $25?
Yes, like that amount.
Less than that, not more. Yeah, it's makruh, but the prayer is valid.
Oh, it's makruh if you have a little bit of blood.
Right, but it's valid.
Okay, you know sometimes you cut yourself and it just like won't stop bleeding, and
But it's less. Yeah, it's makruh, but it's not, and it doesn't invalidate your prayer.
Okay.
And in terms of the wet wipes, if you're combining, so let's say, there was no toilet paper for a while and you're just using wet wipes, but then you're following up with water, that's fine, right? Just using wet and wet.
You're not supposed to do that. Then just use water. You're not supposed to spread the najasa on you. And then don't use wet wipes. Okay. Don't spread the najasa. Okay, you're not supposed to do that. Just use water.
Okay. And how?
Because you're not doing something dry, using something dry, you're using something wet, and they say not to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if it's the case where you keep wiping and wiping, like let's say you do a combination of dry and wet, and you're wiping, and it's just not going away, like
it will if one does what's supposed to, because a lot of times one's not relaxing oneself enough. That's usually the case, Allahu Alam, unless somebody has some other issues. But it should go away if one relaxes properly. These toilets are a big problem. That's the other issue. The other thing is, and it's, in Mukhtasar Khalil, they mentioned this tea is called the Senna tea. And one of my teachers mentioned it, that apparently it's mentioned in the Sunnah, and it's in the Khalil, that it's really good for just completely cleaning out the colon. And they said to do it about once a month. So I've had some for a long time. Like I started buying it when one of the sisters told me about it. She actually does hijama in our area, and she actually told me about it. So, and that's one of the reasons that people have problems, is because we're not using the proper toilets. Because if you do, like you're supposed to lean, you're like pressing your left, Sheikh Sadiq actually showed us the other day. We're just like, can you just show us? So inshallah, when we do it, and if we ever see each other again, inshallah, when we do. So he was pressing his right foot. So that helps remove it. And that's part of what problem is, because these toilets are not conducive to cleaning out the colon. So that's another reason to use the Senna tea. And I wouldn't do it more than once a month, and probably not more than half a teaspoon. It's very strong, but half a teaspoon just is, it's really good. It takes about 12 hours to work. And then if a half a teaspoon doesn't work, then do a little bit more. But it's excellent for completely cleaning out the colon. And one should drink a lot of water, because sometimes if you use a lot, it will dehydrate you, but it's great. Alhamdulillah. I would get that.
You can also use that, the squatty potty, like it brings your legs up, like as if you were squatting.
Oh, can you put it on these toilets?
No, it's not on the toilet. It goes like a stool underneath the toilet. And so it puts your legs in a position as if you were squatting.
Oh, mashallah. Can you send me a picture of that? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, they sell it like Costco, Bed Bath & Beyond, and everything.
Okay, yeah, send me that. Would be awesome.
Okay, sure. Yeah. And the other thing, what you were saying about the Senna is, that like you were saying, you shouldn't use it a lot because it can become habit forming, and your body depends on that to go to the bathroom in the future.
Not habit forming. I mean, he said, the brother whom one of my teachers brought, they did an online class, he said to do it once a month. So I wouldn't do it. I mean, you know, ideally, if we do it properly, we shouldn't need it more than once a month, you know, but it is a little bit strong, so I would just not use too much of it. But usually half a teaspoon is fine. But yeah, I'm sure if one used it every week, Allahu Alam, you know, excessive anything is not a good thing. So, but so well, that's the other thing. Just any other questions? Are there any other questions? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. جزا الله عنا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأهله. جزا الله عنا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأهله. جزا الله عنا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأهله. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq to practice what we're learning. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq. Man yuridillahu bi khairin yufaqqihhu fi din, faqihna fi din. Ya Allah, give us a deep understanding of the deen. Give us tawfiq to practice it. Ya Arhamar Rahim. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala. Jazakallah khairan for attending. Jazakallah khairan. Inshallah, see you all either on Tuesday.